This Bajaj CT100 is mine and is absolutely cromulent. This shit's ass. The signal is fucked. This shit's ass. This shit's ass. And this thing, it doesn't even work. And then these indicators, they do fuck all. They're useless. They tell you nothing. So we are gonna make this bike better. And you might be wondering, how? Well, number one, we will find a better way to do the speedometer. Number two, we will add a collision avoidance system. Let's scratch that. Not system, indicators. Yeah. Indicators. Then we will automate our turn signals and the horn. Then we will add a way to monitor fuel consumption. And we will also add a GPS system. These are minor little updates, but I do think that it'll help contribute to making these bikes better. So let's get started. I'll start by doing a little bit of coding magic here. So you can see my process. It involves a lot of smacking the keyboard. And I took this to uni because I could work there. Here's a look at the app. This is my friend. This man hates me and we hate him too. Just a quick overview of the app itself. Currently, we have a couple screens. We have the cockpit, the stats screen, which shows you this shows you where you were, how the ride went. Then we have a setting screen where we have multiple GPS setting, the speed setting options. So we have GPS, the accelerometer, which is not the most accurate because there is drift bias. And I call it the mathematically accurate method because it uses a kinetic EKF sensor, like fusion, to kind of that uses GPS and accelerometer to get a higher precision. That's the best of both worlds. We have obviously a video mode that we'll talk about in a bit. But then the idea is that it tracks the distance you travel. So for example, you look at the map, it's like this screen needs quite a bit more work, but it shows you where you start your ride, and it points out at which locations you stop your bike and the duration for each stop. So we have this one over here. So this is on my ride home from university. We have this stop here. It's not the most accurate stop, but it is a bit of information. But it records that we stopped here for 187 seconds, meaning there was a traffic light. Then again, we moved on the road at a small stop here because there was an asshole on the road who just would not move his vehicle. And then we just keep moving. And what? Like, you have like information on where you stop your bike. Well, a stop would constitute like when you stop the vehicle for a good amount of time. So this is over 10 seconds, I believe. But yeah, so then we measure the stops. Then another thing we do is taking a speed marker, your speed at every 250 meter intervals. So this helps track how fast you are going on the ride. And obviously, if you don't want to keep the data, you can delete the ride log. But we keep this because honestly, it's a pretty decent stat. So yeah, that is what the app looks like. So we'll be working on the ESP32 and the hardware component shortly. Here we have the video mode I mentioned. This is just a quick test run I did with my bike. I took a little lap around my neighborhood, but I can see it tracking my speed as I slow down. And honestly, I think it came out pretty well. Now comes the hard part. Hardware. Companions for this little endeavor of ours. We have an ESP32. It's a Node MCU ESP32. So we have one of these guys. One of our lovely time of flight sensors. And we have the star of the show. This guy. Trace the outline of the interior area where the bike will be. So we'll be tracing that onto the perf board. Now I have the shape kind of roughly mapped out on the perf board, so I can start cutting. All I'm going to continue doing is use this little ruler, the engineering square I have, and just score the perf board with my knife, and I'll eventually snap it in half, snap it off. New strat. Scoring this thing takes too long. You know what we're gonna use? Power, baby! Okay, moment of truth. I've drilled a bunch of holes unevenly, and we can see if we can snap this off now. Voila! Shit. I got the first little bit of the thing done. It's been snapped. So we're gonna go ahead and drill out the rest of this, and we are gonna finish up this board. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and trace this onto this. I mean, well, I've already done the tracing. So we're gonna take this, now we're gonna cut this up, and we're gonna make another layer so we can stack them on top of each other. Okay, I skipped past quite a bit of sanding and cutting, but mostly because I didn't want to use my camera. It's a pain in the ass to set up, but we have two identical perf boards. So now we are gonna have to fit all of these into this. It's a quick overview before I head out and buy more components. I have the two half the PCB. I put them together, not the PCB, but like two prototype boards. Put them on top of each other. We have the fuse over here and the switch over here, the SP32 here. We have the buck converter that goes below. You put these two on top of each other. We give like sufficient distance, and we have this sitting in between like this, right? Yeah, okay, and we are gonna go ahead and do the transition. So once you put everything together, you get a beautiful little cube, like a rectangle, triangle, like this. Now we hook up the fuse to a bunch of other stuff. As I work on this, the more I realize that this is starting to look like an explosive device. This thing totally doesn't look like a bomb. For testing purposes, I've gone ahead and just ransacked a poor barrel jack connector, and I've hooked up the negative end directly to the buck converter, and hooked up the positive end to the fuse. So when I turn this puppy on, it's turned off. So when I flip the switch, the buck converter turns on, meaning that it works. Hooray! Okay, so I've hooked up my multimeter, and we're gonna tweak the little potentiometer here to get the relevant readings we want. So I'm going to go ahead and switch on the buck converter, and never mind, we have a 5 volt outcome to it, because I did make a short that should be on the channel by now, called for the reincarnator. So that's what this is for. So we have a 5 volt output, but just to show you all what I do here, I grab this little doohickey. Wait, hold on. I grabbed a better screwdriver, and when I adjust the little potentiometer over here, you can see that the voltage output changes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and adjust it slowly to hit 5 volts. And once I have this, I know that I can hook up the node MCU to it. Right. A hot amount of like assembling later, we finally have the setup good to go. The wires running will be dealt with in the morning, but we have the box. We hit this switch and it turns on. So just leave it on the bike really, but the point is that it'll run, right? This is just the emergency fail-safe. You just turn it off in case. But yeah, so we have like the little buck converter down there doing its thing. We have the ultrasonic, the sensor, the circuits there. It goes and connects to the thing where it is. There we go. So it goes and connects out here. Honestly, came out pretty well. For the most part, this is set up. The sensor is connected, and I'm having an agent run through some of the code and do a couple changes for me. But I think after the set of changes is done, we are golden, because I wired things up the wrong way here, but it can be changed in software, so that's great. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and test this out with the bike now. I'm revving the bike. They're getting consistent 5 horsepower. So new issue, because even the bike is off, the buck converter is running, meaning that this whole system is drawing power, and I don't want that. I want it to turn on only when the bike is turned on. So when I come here and flip that switch, the little neutral indicator says, hey, we are turned on. So now we have to figure out a way how to piggyback off of this whole thing. And I'm thinking, can run a wire somewhere maybe through here to figure out to get a power line going, or trace that all the way somewhere back here to figure out where we can get the wires hooked up, because I did not need this on the whole time. So we're going to do what everyone in engineering does and watch a random Indian guy explain the process. I have been told by some random Indian guy on YouTube that we disconnect this first. So we're going to do that first. An issue. What I just realized is that I had my bike in first gear. I mean, obviously it wasn't running, but the pin I was trying to piggyback off of would not work, because it's the thing that powers up the neutral light on the board. So the moment I go out of going to first gear, it decides, oh, it doesn't want to function. So that's going to be very fun to figure out. New plan, since the mechanism is not the initial idea is not going to work, we're going to try something else now. So looking this up, we have this hole, the key thing, the fob, I don't know what you call it, but the little keyhole going into its own little harness down here, the little red one. So the red harness, so we can try to piggyback off of this instead. This will be very interesting thing. So let's get back to measuring voltage. Okay, bit of a jank-ass solution, but I have my 5 bars running. The buck converter is doing its thing. There's a small nick in the wire which I've attached my positive line to, and that goes in here. The ground is coming from here, so with a little bit of wiring magic, I should be able to keep this running consistently. So yeah, good job. So now when I turn off the bike, my ESP32 turns off, and I turn it on. Voila, it turns on. So next thing to do is to hook up the sensors, but we're not going to do that today. For now, we take a break because I have had enough of tinkering for today. Right, with that said, I think that's how we cap off today's episode and this one video, because honestly this took forever to record. So if you did like it, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, and give me pointers on what I'm doing wrong, because I'm doing a lot of things wrong. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of it, and I'll see you in a couple weeks, I guess. I don't know when this will be out, but it'll be out.